William Messervy with our friends over at Timberlake and League joining us this morning. Good morning. How are you today?
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Well, obviously the holidays are right around the corner, so let's talk a little bit about in-store injuries and the liability as, holiday shopping traffic really kicks in.
Sure. So as you can imagine, with everyone trying to rush to the mall for Black Friday or to these different places, you see sort of a spike in two types of injuries. One, premises liability, people getting injured in stores, and then secondly, parking lots. A lot of pedestrians, a lot of traffic, and not uncommon for you to see an influx of people getting hit by vehicles in parking lots. And so just trying to give everyone a little bit of notice to be aware of those two type things, which are just statistically much more common when you get everybody in the same place for holiday shopping.
Yeah, and so what if, God forbid, something does happen? Is there something specific they need to make sure that they have in mind as evidence for a potential case?
Absolutely. So anytime you're injured on someone else's property, whether it be a store or otherwise, one of the important things is to get photographs of what you're injured on. So if it's a hazard, whether it be liquid on the floor or something in the middle of the aisle, whatever it is, you'll need to get some photographs of that because that evidence will quickly go away, and then you're left with the burden of proof of proving what caused your injury. And so if you don't have any photographic evidence, that can be difficult. The other thing people need to be aware of is if you're ever injured in a parking lot, whether that be your car backs into someone else's or whether you're hit by a car as a pedestrian, the police do not have to come out and do a report, and oftentimes will not, because the injury and accident occurred on private property in a parking lot. So you need to be very certain in those circumstances that either yourself, or if you're injured, someone that you're with, takes photographs of the vehicle involved, what happened, and you need to be sure that you exchange all information with the other driver to include, just get your phone and take a picture of their driver's license, of their insurance card, because you're not going to be able to rely on that information being on a police report somewhere.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the phone lines. We have Dennis. Go ahead with your question.
My question is, what is the state and perhaps the federal gun law that applies to the recent Good Samaritan shooting of a robbery suspect in Athens? And what is the liability of the Good Samaritan?
Yeah, good question. And outside my area of expertise, but Alabama has passed some stand your ground type laws, but that's ultimately going to be for a judge and a jury to decide, not for me on the news program.
Yeah, so coming back, you can still call us at 256-536-0077. But coming back to holiday shopping, I know Black Friday is always, we have a swarm of people. And we were talking a little bit about parking lots. What happens if you get hit by a car in the parking lot? What if that driver just drives away and you don't really get any chance to exchange information?
If that's the case, as long as you have full coverage under your own insurance, you'll be protected in that scenario. And a lot of times it doesn't make sense. People say, look, I wasn't at fault for the wreck. Why would I ever make a claim against my own insurance? But if you have full coverage, you have something called uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage. And it protects you in the event you ever get hit by somebody with no insurance or not enough insurance. And because it's a no-fault policy, you have to be not at fault to make that claim. And because of that, your rates don't go up and you can't get canceled for having made that claim. So you've been paying since you were 16 for something called uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage as long as you have full coverage, and that will protect you in the event you get hit by somebody that doesn't stop to exchange information.
Anything people need to be aware of for Cyber Monday?
No, just be aware of the scams. Do your due diligence. By and large, it's buyer beware. And so, you might be, expecting some big thing that you bought and it comes and it's only this big. You've got to read that fine print on measurement and sizes and costs and everything else.
Right. Well, we do have time for one last question from Lisa. Go ahead. Lisa, can you hear us? Oh, I guess we lost her.
Looks like we lost her.
If she didn't get her question, if you didn't get your question answered, remember you can always call our friends over at Timberlake and League. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.